It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
The pitch to the plate, high in the air to right field. Going back is Wiley at the wall, makes a leap, and Milam walks it off in the bottom of the ninth inning. That baby's gone into the Carolina Blues. Steven Milam with his second home run of the day. 4-3, Tigers win it in the ninth.
Simply incredible, the finish to that ball game. Simply incredible the day that Steven Milam had at the plate. Simply incredible the day that Gage Jump had on the mound. Simply incredible LSU's opening round victory in the NCAA Tournament. Chris Blair on the call there. Milam's a walk-off homer, his second home run of the ball game, one from each side of the plate. Shades of Michael Papierski in the 2017 College World Series. Just a simply incredible day for LSU that we will run through here. For a while, it looked really bad. But in the end, it ended up being a win that we've seen from this team quite frequently over the course of the last week or so. They once again got a stellar pitching performance. They once again showed just a ton of grit, a ton of heart, a ton of will to win, a ton of, hey, it's our day, whether you think it is or not, and we're going to prove it to you. And that's been a theme definitely over the last week, but maybe even longer than that. And it was one of the first things that Jay Johnson talked about post-game.
Relative to the toughness piece of it, it's just that's who we are now. That's who we are now. And, we got cut, we got blistered, we got bloodied, we got punched in the gut. Felt like 50 times in the first 5 weeks of the SEC play, but we got out of the hospital. And this is who we are now.
We got out of the hospital. Jay Johnson dropping bars in the post game. Y'all smash the like button. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Get subscribed up on your favorite podcast app. Follow me on social media, and let's get right into it. The game could not have started any better in the top of the first. How about 6 pitches for Gage Jump? Puts Marshall Toole down on 3 of them. Looked dominant. The fastball was all in the zone. I mean, he just pounded the zone. LSU goes out there in the bottom half. They are very aggressive, something we thought they might be. This is a Wofford team that is always in the zone. The difference is Zach Cohen, doesn't pitch. And I sat here in the preview and told y'all the one thing that would surprise me most is if LSU ran somebody other than Gage Jump out on the mound. The thing that would surprise me second most is if Wofford ran out somebody different than Zach Cohen, and that's exactly what they did. We talked about the short rest that he was going to be on and said that could be a reason they look in a different direction, but it's also probably the reason that they don't, because they threw him on 3 days rest in the conference tournament, and this would have been 4 days. You did it then, why not do it again? The pitch count in those games was an issue, and ultimately they don't go with him. And we were having conversations on Twitter before the game, and somebody asked, what does it mean? And my answer was that now it means LSU has no excuse because you have a decided advantage on the mound. But you tip your hat to Little from Wofford. The kid was dialed in, had all the stuff that he needed, sinker, slider. When those type of pitchers are on, it is a very, very difficult combo to hit because he can move the ball in with the sinker, out with the slider. They're very similar, nothing straight. It's a very, very difficult combo to hit because it's 2 very difficult pitches to hit and it's 2 pitches that do different things. It allows a pitcher to work both sides of the plate just with great efficiency, and that's ultimately what he did. I mean, he gets LSU, I think it was 8 pitches or something in the first. You get to the second inning and Gage Jump gives up the 2 spot, but it wasn't just your normal 2 spot. Jackson doubles, but it's a ball to the gap. I mean, you all saw it. Matt Bingham gets there, runs it down, has the ball in the glove, hits the wall hard, and it pops out. And then that allows Wofford to get their offense going. And we're going to talk a lot about Gage Jump because he was phenomenal. And I think that second inning magnifies just how phenomenal he was. Because in that second inning, you saw how Wofford can operate that offense, how efficient they are at that. As soon as Jackson gets on base, here comes the small ball. You have the sack bunt to get him into scoring position, and then you have a 2-strike RBI, sacrifice fly, gives Wofford the 1-0 lead. Then Manning on a 2-strike, another 2-strike hit, singles up the middle, and then Manley, again 2-strike RBI, and that's when you get the 2 spot. But this is what I'll say: Gage Jump made a lot of huge pitches in that ball game on Friday. There might not have been a bigger one than the last one of the second inning. Because what was the conversation we had with Wofford? Keep the leadoff man off base. That prevents them from getting into their offense, and LSU did a phenomenal job of that. 2 leadoff men reached in this game. 2. That's it. I mean, Gage Jump had a large majority to do with that, but 2 leadoff men reached. That's it. And then we talked about 3 guys specifically in the order. Well, we talked about Wofford's ability to hit with runners on base, which you saw in that second inning as well. But we talked about 3 guys in particular in that order that hit in a row, and it was something that had been very, very effective for the Terriers. And that was Jack Renwick, the king of small ball, who incidentally hit an absolute bomb in that ball game in the 8th inning. We'll get to it. But Renwick at the bottom of that order in the 9-hole, flipping it back to Marshall Toole and Dixon Black. And with 2 runs already in, all 2 of them scoring on 2-strike at bats, and you got Renwick at the plate with another runner on, and his ability to potentially flip that back to the top and start a second trip in the second inning. Jump getting him to fly out to center was an absolutely massive moment in the ball game, and LSU does not win the ball game without that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Gage Jump, and we're going to get to Milam, and I feel I know like I'm kind of burying the lead. Maybe I should have went in reverse order, but we're going to get to him and get to him in short order. The other thing you saw from Wofford was something else we talked about: the plate discipline. Gage Jump wasn't necessarily throwing the slider for strikes early in the game. He was throwing damn good sliders, but they were just right off the edge, and Wofford was spinning on them with ease. With ease. That started to change when he came back out. LSU, again, couldn't figure out Branton Little. You get to the 3rd, and Jump bounces back. I mean, 2 pitches, 2 outs to start the inning. Gives up a single with pitches around it. LSU in the 3rd is where it would start getting frustrating for the offense. So in the 3rd inning, LSU gets the leadoff man on with a single. In the 4th inning, LSU gets the leadoff man on with a single. In the 5th inning, LSU gets a leadoff man on with the walk. 3 innings in a row, leadoff man. And then 3 innings in a row, they didn't advance past first base. There just wasn't the execution at the plate. They were tied up in knots from Branton Little, and you give him credit. I know you don't want to do that. It's not fun. Hell, I don't want to sit here and do that. But he was awesome today. And he gave Wofford exactly what they needed. LSU's offense was hot coming in, and he poured a whole tub of ice water on them. Except for 2 guys. 2 guys turned in some really, really good ABs throughout the day. Steven Milam and Gage Jump. So while LSU in that 1st inning goes ground out, fly out on 2 pitches, 2 up, 2 down, Gage Jump comes up, sees Little well, and draws a walk. Now, he got stranded, but he saw him well and drew a walk. In the bottom of the second inning, Steven Milam in his first at bat turns in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8 or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pitch at bat and hit one on the nose to right field. It was just at Wiley, and it's the out. But it was a great at bat from Steven Milam. You can continue to go. One of those leadoff men who reached, it was Jared Jones in the fourth inning. Singles to lead it off. Steven Milam was the last out of that inning. But it was another full count that he worked. This one was a 6-pitch at bat, and he hit one right on the nose again, but it was right at the shortstop, and it ends the inning. But you could see him making the contact. You could see Jones putting together good at-bats. Those two guys had great days at the plate. Ultimately, each of them ended up with home runs, but even early, you could see they were seeing it. They were still confident. That's what we talked so much about with LSU's offense. It was in our Q&A episode. One of you asked, what changed for LSU? And what changed was they were just more confident at the plate. They were in their approach. They were in the plan. They weren't trying to do too much. They weren't pressing. They were just going up there, executing, and good things happened. LSU didn't look confident. They pressed early, being aggressive. And again, I didn't mind them being aggressive because Wofford's in the zone a lot. You just weren't making, it just wasn't happening for you. You weren't squaring it up because you're going up against a sinker slider guy. It's tough. Milam and Jones were. And all the while LSU is struggling at the plate, Gage Jump is doing what Gage Jump has done damn near the entire back half, all the back half of the season, but damn near all of the season. He has that one inning where the pitch count gets elevated, and then he just finds it and settles in. And that's exactly what Jump did from the third inning on. He was absolute nails, and he really wasn't bad in the early part of the game. He had some misfortune with the drop ball in the outfield. It was a really tough play by Bingham, and he made a great effort at it, and we're not going to fault him for that. And Wofford really spit on some great pitches, and Jump had great command today. You talk all the time about the difference between control and command. Control is just, what it sounds like, having control of your stuff, being in control of your stuff, not being just, completely all over the place. Command is being able to put everything where you want it, and that's what Gage Jump had today. And whenever he got the fastball command and started throwing the slider for a strike, it was over. It was over. Because when he can, we've talked about it before, when he can move his fastball glove side and arm side, he's lethal. And after that second inning, he was able to do that. And then the slider started getting over a little bit more, and it was really tough for the Terriers to lay off of. And Gage Jump settled in, struck out 5 in a row at one point, and just started carving. He ran into a little trouble in the 6th inning. And this is where he made just another absolutely massive pitch. But the key here is that Dixon Black struck out looking to start the inning. You got the leadoff man out. Bryce Martinez doubles to left field, so you have the runner in scoring position. But with one out, it limits Wofford's ability to small ball. Daniel Jackson flies out to right field. It advances Martinez. But then Jump makes a massive pitch to get Wiley to fly out to left. And Wiley is one of those guys who is hitting like 60 points higher or something with runners on base. He's well below 300. He's not one of them we pointed out, but he was listed in the numbers that I found that I was looking at. He was hitting like 323 with runners on base and something like 260 or whatnot without. So you're in that spot, and Gage Jump makes a massive pitch to get out of that inning. Now, you couldn't do anything in the bottom half, unfortunately. You finally got a runner to second base. The first time, Jones, another great at-bat from Jones, draws another walk, full count, and a balk advances into second. And in the 6th inning, that was the first time LSU got a runner to second base all game long. All game long. Ultimately, Travinsky would strike out to end that inning, and that's disappointing. But you go to the 7th, and Gage Jump gets you 3 up, 3 down. You go to the bottom half, and that's when Steven Milam steps up. 2-strike at bat. Home run left center field. This one from the right side. And it was very reminiscent of the walk-off homer that he hit in Hoover. Because it didn't necessarily look off the bat like he got all of it, but it kept carrying and carrying out to out to left center field, hits off the scoreboard, and just like that, LSU's on the board. And what ended up happening the rest of that inning wasn't great. I mean, you went 3 up, 3 down after that. It's 2-1. But Alex Milazzo was the last out of the the last out of the 7th inning. Now, I tweeted this in the moment that it was important to keep it at 1 run in the 8th because you had the top of the order due up 1, 2, 3, and that felt like your chance. Now, ultimately, you go to the 8th. They bring Jump back out at 95 pitches. I'll be honest, I was surprised. I didn't hate the decision. I actually liked the decision. He's your horse. Ride him. I mean, he's pitched great up to this point. Go for it. But Renwick leads off the inning with an absolute bomb. Absolute bomb. And it puts Wofford up 3-1. And at that point, it felt rough. Because it's like, man, you've had to scratch and claw for everything. You've had 2 guys really turning good at bats consistently today. You're finally within 1. You're finally on the board. And then that guy, the 9-hole, the small ball king, hits an absolute tank off of you. Credit Jump. He gets Marshall 2, and then they went to Guidry. And Guidry pitched around a single and got you back into the dugout. And then you go to the bottom half of the 8th. And even though you didn't keep it at 1 run, you still had 1, 2, and 3 due up in the lineup, and it was still your chance. And Michael Braswell, 2 strikes, homers to left center field, cuts the lead to 1 again. And just a massive hat tip to Michael Braswell because it wasn't a great day for him on Friday. It just wasn't. Couple 1-pitch outs. Like, it just was not good for him at the plate. In that moment, it was. And that's also been one of the catalysts for this offense taking off a little bit in the recent weeks is Michael Braswell in the leadoff spot. And this power surge that he has found. He had 1 home run all the way up until Hoover. He's got 4 now. Kid's hit 3 home runs in like the last 4 or 5 games. It's just been incredible to see. And it was a no-doubter over the scoreboard. Tommy White comes up, gets ahead 3-0. They give him the green light. He pops up in foul territory. Stunk. But I 100% support giving Tommy White the green light. Like, in that moment, yes. 1 swing can tie it. Yeah. There's a breaking ball they threw him. It was up. He couldn't get on top of it, and he popped it up. But then Jared Jones steps up, who had been putting together really, really good at bats. And he hits an absolute missile to the opposite field and ties the ball game. Another 2-strike at bat. In fact, Jared Jones was down 0-2 in that at bat, works it back to 2-2, and then hits the missile out. He was seeing it, y'all. And it was absolutely awesome. And at that point, you go to Griffin Herring, and Griffin Herring was as nails as he has ever been this year. Strikes out the side, all on sliders, and then Steven Milam turns in his 4th great at bat of the day, and this one was not arguably, this one was the best. Clearly the best. 9 pitches, all of them fastballs, fouls off 4 in a row, and on the 9th pitch, hits the no-doubter you heard right off the top of the show and walks off LSU. That guy has just been awesome all year long. From the moment he stepped in the 2nd game of the year and got his first start, he's been really, really, really good. He hit that little bit of a snag when SEC play started, which makes sense for a true freshman in this league. But slowly and surely, as each week passed, as each at-bat passed, you could see him getting better. And now you're looking at a guy who has 8 home runs on the year, 2 walk-off homers, and is hitting over 330. Some context behind what Steven Milam has done. And a hat tip to the great Todd Politz over there at LSU, stat extraordinaire. Put some context behind it. So, first, Steven Milam is the first LSU baseball player with 2 walk-off hits in a week since third baseman George Meir had a pair of extra inning walk-off doubles, one against Northern Illinois on March 31st, and then one on April 3rd against Mississippi State. 1948. How's that for history from Steven Milam? Steven Milam is also the first LSU player with multiple walk-off home runs in a single season. Todd Police notes, likely ever. Line scores are incomplete prior to SEC era 1933. You talk about wanting to be in the moment. You talk about wanting to be the guy with the weight on your shoulders. That's hard for a senior, for a freshman like Steven Milam to do that. Simply incredible. Y'all, that guy has put together a season that most would like for a weekend, for a game. Never mind a career. And he's just getting started. You've got him for 2 more seasons. We talked an awful lot when we previewed North Carolina, when we previewed Wofford. Both those teams have veterans, but they also had a lot of freshmen that were contributing to them. And LSU, in the same vein, has Larson, had Milam. Whose freshmen looked like freshmen? That was going to be really important. Today, Wofford's freshmen looked like freshmen and LSU's didn't. Alec Bouchard, the kid who gave up the walk-off homer, freshman. Kenny Michaels, who gave up the first homer to Milam, freshman. Steven Milam, who hit 2 out of the 4, freshman. Their freshmen looked like freshmen. Yours didn't. Yours didn't crumble in that moment, and that speaks to the character and the makeup of Monster Milam, and get used to it because it's the beginning for him. Only the beginning for him. Just absolutely awesome. Awesome stuff from Steven Milam all day. And you know what? Back to the grit, to the toughness of this team. Y'all, they were dead offensively for 6 innings. Didn't have a runner reach second base until the 6th inning. I think they were sitting on 2 hits at that point. Like, they were done. They had no life. And then they got it. And they came through like they've been doing down the stretch. And that's, we talk about sustainability with this. That is sustainable. Was it pretty offensively? No. Is that going to be enough to win you a winner's bracket game? Probably not. But can that jumpstart you? Yup. You damn right it can. Can that be the start of another run here through a tournament? Yep. Absolutely. And I'm fired up to see if it is. Just an awesome, awesome day. I mean, what LSU, and I wanted a few more things about LSU on the mound because they were great. And Gage Jump deserves a lot of credit for this. He was just awesome. We mentioned the 2 leadoff men reaching base. Huge. We gave the numbers where 9 different Wofford players on the team reached base 40% or more of the time when leading off an inning. You allowed 2 leadoff men to reach. That's huge in shutting down this offense because, again, you saw how effective it could be. We talked about runners on. Wofford hit 167 with runners on against LSU Friday. Massive. And then there's the solo homers from LSU, where we've made a lot of jokes, and deservedly so, about the amount of solo homers this team has hit. And that it's hurt the offense because solo homers normally aren't going to win you a game. Friday they did. 4 solo homers. I mean, look, LSU was 0 for 11 with runners on base. They were 0 for 11 in advancement opportunities as a result for that. LSU was 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 8 with 2 outs. But you know what they did? They had 4 really meaningful hits that all came with 2 strikes and all left the yard. All 4 of those solo homers were with 2 strikes. Huge. Just massive. The other thing that's so big about the performance Gage Jump gave you, 7 1/3, no walks, by the way. Talked about that with Wofford. The free passes they draw, what was it, 414 free passes compared to 420 strikeouts, almost even. No walks. None. 0. In fact, no walks at all for LSU today. Huge. I mean, absolutely huge. And the other thing that Steven Milam's home run did, it ended the game. So you look at Griffin Herring, and he only threw 17 pitches. After Guidry only threw 6. Both of those guys are available to you now in your winner's bracket game. The only person on this team that can't pitch is Gage Jump. So let's look forward to game number 2 now a little bit. It will either be Long Island or North Carolina. Here, let's see. As I sit here and record this, let's find the score of that ball game. When I came in to record this, North Carolina was down 3-1. Long Island had hit a 3-run homer in the 3rd inning to take the lead there. Now, of course, the laptop's going to move, slow as molasses, which is just fantastic. That's obviously what we want at the current moment. So Long Island's 3-2 right now. So it'll be Long Island or North Carolina. There's a long way to go in that game. And look, it'll obviously end before I can give you my thoughts on who it's going to be. Regardless, LSU has Luke Holman going. If you face North Carolina, you're going to face Shea Sprague. Shea Sprague's a lefty. We went through it with him. Fastball, 89-91. He might bump a 92. Slider and changeup. That's really what you're going to see from him. He's not overpowering, but he is constantly in the zone. The guy has like 15 walks on the year. It's an elite strikeout to walk ratio, or elite whip, as a matter of fact. LSU can be aggressive against him. But you're going to need more offensively from LSU if you're facing North Carolina and LIU. That was the thing we talked about. The one thing that couldn't happen to LSU in this regional, they were going to pitch well enough to win. The one thing that couldn't happen is the offense go bye-bye. Well, for 6 innings, really outside of 4 hits against Wofford, it did. But those 4 hits were enough to win you a game. You can't count on 4 solo homers winning you the game again. LSU's got to come better prepared and take better at-bats early in the game in the winner's bracket. You'll face Shea Sprague if you're looking at North Carolina. For what it's worth, Long Island through Garrett Yawn, their ace. They don't really have anything else, behind him. They have 2 other starters that they've used, but they each have like ERAs north or just below 7. So there's opportunity there, obviously, LSU, if you're facing Long Island, and you should absolutely be rooting for Long Island to win the game. But that's going to be the key. Luke Holman's going to go out there, and he's going to give LSU exactly what they need. And yes, they're pitching Luke Holman. Whether they face North Carolina, whether they face Long Island, they are pitching Luke Holman. End of discussion. It's not, I don't even think they consider any other path, and I don't think that they should either. So Luke Holman is going to go out there, and he's going to give you what you need. It might not always look pretty, but he's going to keep you in the ballgame. Your offense needs to respond because you have a full complement in your bullpen. Like, that is perfect for LSU. When you don't have Christian Little for the entire weekend, which LSU does not have Christian Little for the entire weekend, hat tip to Koki Riley from the Advocate getting that report out. Little is out for the weekend. You need to save as much as you can in the bullpen, and to be able to go through a game in the opener and use Guidry and Herring and have them both available. You couldn't ask for anything more if you had to use those guys. And that's what you got. And you credit Gage Jump for that. And you credit Steven Milam for being able to end the ball game when he did. So that's what you look at. LSU, I thought, played great defense against Wofford on Friday. Hopefully that carries over into the winner's bracket. The offense is going to be what's under the microscope because that is the missing piece for this to be sustainable. Did this jumpstart them? That's what I want to see, and I think it absolutely could have. So it'll be LSU and the winner of North Carolina, Long Island. Again, that game's still in progress at the time of this recording, but that's your little bit of a breakdown, and LSU's in a great spot to go 2-0. You want to go to the regional final. That's obviously what you want to do. You want to win it when you get there, but I can tell you this. One thing we say every year, regional finals are better when you're 2-0. LSU's got their chance to do that Saturday at 4 p.m. Central against either the Sharks or the host Tar Heels. You know we will have you covered here on Musso at the Box. Greatly appreciate the support. Greatly appreciate all of y'all listening. Thank you for that. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Get subscribed up on the YouTube channel, on your favorite podcast app. Follow me on social media, and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.